Use code WALLAH for 10% off all advanced GG products. Thank you. This video is talking about the no time to explain and overall pulse rifles ruining the Crucible in general. I don't hate Destiny, and I don't think I ever will. We've had some really bad metas in the past, whether it be stasis or even something like the auto rifle meta. Apparently that was really frustrating to a lot of people, which I really don't get, by the way. But this pulse rifle slash super slow meta at the moment is getting very old and very, very boring. It's getting to the point where if I'm not using a pulse rifle in a control match, I'm not gonna have a good game, which is absurd. I'm not speaking for everyone because I know there are still people out there that really like pulse rifles. There are people out there that benefit from skill-based matchmaking. There are probably a lot of people that do, and that's completely fine. It's not really about skill-based, but it's more so the fact that since I am tied to the higher tier players, everyone is using a pulse rifle, and I'm not exaggerating. Almost every single game, if you go spectate the lobby, you can see that everybody has some sort of long-range weapon on. And the reason for that is because there's no real reason to push up. If you move up, push up, whatever it may be, if you want to put on an SMG and a shotgun, you're going to get destroyed. And you can have some good games here and there. By all means, that's very, very possible. But it doesn't mean it's viable. A lot of the maps we're getting nowadays, whether it be Eternity, Widow's Court, Cathedral of Dusk, they have changed the whole map weighting, so that way a lot of the maps are more fair. You can get some close range maps now, which is a very good thing. But even something like Endless Veil, pulse rifles are still the best. You can sit in the back or even sit in mid and kind of beam people from afar. Regardless of what type of map it is, it's still the best option. And this has been meta for a long time now. Even in Trials of Osiris, the top weapons right now, I mean, literally the #1 weapon is No Time to Explain. It's one of the easiest weapons in the game, and it's popular for a reason. I do believe I saw something about No Time to Explain being changed, which is a really good thing, but it doesn't fix the fact that pulse rifles in general are so damn strong. Every single one of my pulse rifle videos I've made have been the easiest videos to record. Even the previous one talking about the Insidious, saying how I regretted crafting it, was still a very, very easy video to make. The videos with the SMGs like the Pizzicato or the Iron Banner SMG, those videos took a lot longer to make, and the reason for it is because it was really hard to get good games with them because people were sitting in the back of the map waiting, and those are considered the high tier players that just don't really move around all that much. And I'm not blaming anyone for using pulse rifles. They're clearly meta for a reason. They can kill people from close range, far range, and mid range. Whatever it may be, it's perfect for each scenario. I don't like talking about nerfs because, first of all, I don't even know what I would nerf about them. Maybe the body shot damage, maybe the range, maybe the zoom. There's a lot of different things you could do to shit on them, but do we really want to make them trash? A weapon type that really sucks right now are auto rifles. I feel like auto rifles have only been really good for maybe one season, and everyone went crazy about that. It didn't last very long, and we don't really see auto rifles being used at all. Even scout rifles, something that we've never used before, are starting to get really popular. And yeah, 150s did get buffed, but if you look at the bigger picture, they're really not all that great. The reason why it's so strong right now is because of the way people are playing and the way the meta shifted so slow and so far range. So scout rifles actually are viable at the moment. It's funny because right now there are still people out there that genuinely think hand cannons are the best weapon archetypes in the game. They don't think No Time is better, they don't think any pulse rifle is better, and it just boggles my mind. It's kind of frustrating because we haven't gotten any word on when they're gonna fix it or what they're gonna do specifically. We've been using pulse rifles for a while, but instead we got something like an Eager Edge nerf, which I'm not gonna talk about too much because a lot of people have already talked about it, but this was kind of a bummer. I really liked using Eager Edge, but considering I'm a PvP player, this won't change too much for me personally, but it does suck I won't be able to make those double swipe or even triple swipe plays most of the time. Instead, I'll only be able to swipe once, and that's it. For those wondering what I think about the Eager Edge nerf, I really don't like it. I actually wish they didn't do it, but I don't really care at the end. For me personally, it doesn't change too much gameplay, but I do understand the speedrunners and people who really like to use this in PvE. This is really, really shitty. One huge way they could nerf pulse rifles, and I guess specifically the No Time to Explain has a lot of handling on it. One way you can really shit on weapons is the handling stat, making them really clunky and not fun to use. Now, of course, there are workarounds, so you could use Ophidian Aspects on Warlock, and then it would really, really make it annoying because everyone would be using Ophidian Aspect Warlock if they want to use pulse rifles, and that'd be basically the only way to use a pulse rifle. But it wouldn't really fix the whole problem of them being super super easy to use. People would just play even slower if the handling was lower, so maybe that wouldn't really fix the problem. Like I said, we could nerf the zoom, which would bring the range value on every single pulse rifle a lot lower. Most pulse rifles are at about 35 to 42 meters. I'd say that's around the average right there, and the reason why that's so strong is because it's farther than hand cannons, and honestly, it's farther than almost every single weapon in the game besides scout rifles. Having all that range while still being very easy to use up front is what makes this thing super ridiculous. The only problem with all this is I don't want to see pulse rifles become useless. That wouldn't be fun, and for those who genuinely enjoy using them, it wouldn't be fun for those people either. Now, besides the whole pulse rifle rant, there is a few other things I want to talk about that they haven't mentioned either. Two weapons that have been driving me crazy lately is Lorentz Driver and the Arbalist. Those are the most absurd weapons in the game right now, and a lot of people have been asking to change Arbalist to a heavy weapon, and the PvE players say that would be a terrible move. Of course, that would hurt PvE. Arbalist is really strong in PvE anyways. If it got moved to a heavy weapon, it would still be really, really good. They'd probably buff the damage, and overall, I don't really see a problem with it, personally. Now, when it comes to Lorentz Driver, I don't know, because if you moved it to a heavy slot, it would be kind of trash, but at the same time, not a lot of people use Lorentz Driver in PvE anyways, so I don't think it would be a huge issue, because right now, linear fusion rifles are very easy to use. I saw a noob on Twitter saying that they should not change Arbalist or Lorentz Driver because it helps the really bad players compete against the good players, but my response to that is we already have skill-based matchmaking, and we have the flawless pool. You're not playing against any of the quote-unquote good players, so what's the big deal here? People don't want to lose their crutches, I understand, but it's really bad for the game, and it's very frustrating to play against. It's just straight up not fair. And one thing I kind of forgot to mention, Lorentz Driver and Arbalist are both very strong in Trials of Osiris and Control, but you don't see a lot of people using it in Control, only because there's really no point. Control is supposed to be more the casual game mode. There are still people that are going to try hard with it, but most of the time, I usually never run into it. It's mainly the pulse rifles that I run into. So with that being said, I don't know if Arbalist or Lorentz Driver will really ever get nerfed. I hope it does, but the numbers won't show it because a lot of people aren't using it in Control. Now, there is one little weapon here that I did not mention the entire video up until now, and that's the Dead Messenger. I actually use this on stream sometimes. Whether I'm doing a carry or playing against the most annoying cheese ever, I will slap this on, go invis, and abuse the shit out of it, because it is overpowered, and all of us know that. Since it is a grenade launcher, and I don't really run into this a huge amount of times, I'm not going to talk about it for very long, but you could easily nerf this by just making it do less damage. I think that'd be the smartest nerf ever, so you don't ruin PvE, assuming some people use this in PvE. And overall, just a small little nerf here, make it do like 20-30 less damage, and I think you're good to go for the most part. It would still be really strong since it is an exotic grenade launcher, but it wouldn't be straight up overpowered. But those are my thoughts on the current sandbox. I didn't get into skill-based matchmaking too much because I don't really care at the end of the day. As long as the noobs are happy, I'll be happy. But this is something that really ruins the game for the high-tier players, and I feel like even for the lower-tier players that want to use something like a submachine gun or a sidearm or something like that, that want to get into close-range combat but are having some trouble because the way the meta has shifted currently. Again, please don't think I hate the game or that I hate Destiny or whatever it may be. I love this game. I just want to see some weapon changes, that's all. That's the only thing I want. I want to use some different weapons every now and then. Thank you guys for watching, and like always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.